everybody, welcome back to Cardvoyant. I'm Kris and I'm your Cardvoyant, and today I'm here with my sister Kim, and we're continuing a discussion, another Psychic Sisters discussion, we started talking about sort of energy and some of the feelings that people have that maybe were in the last days and those kinds of fears. But we also want to talk about the weird energy that sort of covered around the 4th of July. So we will get to that. So let's talk. Let's go in depth a little bit more with some of our conversation.
Okay, so let's talk about the 4th, because I just kept thinking.
Is it the Force?
No, the 4th. May the 4th. Yeah, may the Force be with you. The July 4th, because it was the weirdest July 4th I can remember in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I used to spend a lot of them in Utah, and those were completely normal compared to what we had this July 4th, because in fact they were really fun. But this was the weirdest July 4th I can remember ever. The energy was weird.
The energy was so weird.
The speech was weird. Where he did it was weird, on like sacred ground. It was just the weirdest, most like, and I would say like it was just. I don't know. It was anti everything good. It was all.
It was,
and it was also kind of a slap in the face to kind of America, and to talk about like Confederate statues, and it was just the weirdest.
When Trump was talking about all that stuff, it was kind of like, but this isn't what we're celebrating. Like, right. I didn't even want to celebrate because of the stuff that he was talking, because that's not what we're celebrating when we celebrate the 4th of July. I mean, to me, it never has been
right.
Hate speech and weird Confederate things and stuff. I mean, there's so many wonderful things to celebrate about the experiment that is the United States.
Right.
But it was none of the things he was talking about, or even the things that he tried to talk about that were good. He put like weirdly, he like made it seem, I don't know. It was
well, he loves violent rhetoric. He loves talking about blood and, the whatever military rhetoric and stuff. And I just think to me, one of the best and happiest and proudest 4th of July's I remember was 2009, after Barack Obama was president. It made me so proud, and I remember, and I just thought about, like you said, the kind of this experiment, but also it's also about the melting pot. I always think of the melting pot when I think of the 4th of July, like the United States and the 4th of July, and that's what I think of. And I just was so like proud of our country, because the whole run up to that, people were like, there's no way people are going to elect an African-American man. There's no way. And we did, and it was just so, and granted, he wasn't perfect, he made mistakes for sure, but I remember that 4th of July just being so proud of our country. And then also 2017 being so disappointed and thinking, what the heck, what is going on?
But there was a weird thing too with, and I think we talked about this, but here, like they canceled our local event. We have like a big local event. Usually it's a 3-day thing, and then it culminates with a couple nights of fireworks.
Right.
But so they canceled that, of course. But there were so many fireworks going off and firecrackers. I mean, I've spent like 4 nights just with Bo just like clawing at me because he gets so scared and he's panting and he's shaking, and it was just, and I'm like, it happens every 4th of July for these few hours. This was like days. And they were loud, and everything felt so immediate. And it came as like a senior residence place. It felt like the people next, I mean, they sounded so close. I'm like, are these old people sitting off these fireworks? They weren't. I'm pretty sure they weren't. But it was the weirdest feeling of almost being like celebration, and yet almost sort of like suffocated by them. It's like combination of celebration and attack. It was just the weirdest feeling.
That's what prompted this question, was because after, because we were, I mean, I think they went off until like 2 or 3 in the morning here.
Yeah.
I mean, they went on all night long, and days before, and then
Yes.
days after.
Yeah.
And so, and then I got up the next day, and I thought that was between his speech, where it was, the weird tweets, and then the battleground in my head, you know, in our neighborhood,
Yes.
all, you know, for days. But then I got up and looked at LA. Did you see those pictures?
Yes, I saw that video of the skylight. Just like,
yes, it looked like a battleground. I mean, it looked like they were being bombed. So that made me think something was happening. What was going on? So what do you think was happening? When I looked into this with my guides, because I had to ask then and there, it was kind of like people were like literally, it's almost like they were declaring it was almost like they were manifesting their independence from this time. They were going to get out of this no matter what. And this was their way of saying, we're done. This is it. We're done. So it was
we're here. And we're
right.
Here.
Yes.
Like
and that was exactly validating that they're even, that they have a voice. And it's like, it was like a precursor to November. It's like, just wait, MFR, just wait. we're coming. We're coming.
It was like the whole country singing Roar.
It was. It really was. Yeah, exactly. It was. It was. Yeah.
And talk about like symbolism. Again, going back to what we talked about at the beginning with the symbolism, it was something that we could all relate to, even if you didn't think about it in symbolic terms. I think sometimes stuff like that is so visceral that it just naturally comes out some way. And I think you're right. People were just, and it's all levels. I mean, it's like people that were just like, I'm here. I'm sure there's a lot of young people that are so frustrated. Exactly. I think of, you know, Sonny, like grandson, he's just like, that kid's he's 14. You know, 4 months in lockdown at 14 is
so unfair. Yeah,
it's so unfair. And he's so, you know, he's so sort of beside himself. He's frustrated. He doesn't, I'm sure a lot of these were being set off by kids that are just like, this is, and it was them, you know, and they're just, I don't know. It was just the weirdest atmosphere, very unsettling. I was just, the whole thing was very unsettling and like, I don't know, just such a difficult energy. And that whole thing, like you said, I know we said this already, but the whole thing at Mount Rushmore was so, it was just so like wrong. Yeah. It was just, everything about it was wrong.
On every level.
On every level.
On every level. It was just, and I just thought, okay, you know, and I knew it's going to be weird going up to the campaign. Nothing's going to be normal. Yeah. There's going to be no bottom. He's going to go as low as he can, clearly. But it was like sacred ground. And it was like, it was just so ugly.
It was. And sometimes stuff like that, and it's happened on many different fronts to many different people. When you're confronted with that and that sort of awful energy and it feeling wrong, I think it highlighted the native population's sort of plight, if you want to put it that way, but all the things they've been talking about for years, and well, you know, 400 years, but I mean, even just for me, again, growing up in the 70s, there was this lot of this, I remember when like Alcatraz was occupied by the Native Americans, and they just had this voice that they were trying to get out, and it just keeps getting squelched. And it seems like some of this stuff that he's doing, whether it's the Native or with the whole Confederate thing with Black people and with like the DACA kids and stuff like that, it's like having the complete opposite of effect of what he thinks is happening, which I think is this, again, that's sort of that King of Cups energy, where the love is really being placed where it should be placed, and he's highlighting where it's not placed. And so hopefully we're moving toward something better for everywhere, especially for various groups of people that have been, you know, that have had these struggles for so many years, and, you know, so many unfair things. And I don't know, but it was
It was a weird one, though.
a weird,
Well, do you
creepy
mind,
energy.
just before we close out, do you mind pulling just a couple of cards on it and just see what?
Oh, about the energy of the
Yeah,
forest?
just
Ooh, now
in
that's a good
general, just
idea.
kind of like a card or two, just about the energy of the fourth and what,
Okay.
I don't know, what
Was
the heck?
happening?
What the heck was it? Yeah.
What's going
Weird.
those weird cards?
Weird. I mean, so like perfect. I think I know what they're going to be, but go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this card is it's just so I think it's talking about this sort of long sleep that we've been in. And this is a little bit different. You know, when you read the cards, I mean, I could say that, well, this is the meaning of this and this, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
but so often you get a feel for what it is and it incorporates that.
Right.
But these three swords here, they're talking about this buildup. I mean, we just talked about three groups of people: Native American, Hispanic
Right.
Americans, and Black Americans. And
Right.
it's that, but it's also so much more. It's all of
Right.
these things that have been like sort of pointed at us, sort of daggers to the soul of us and our country and our world in some cases, and how we're being called on to assess that. And
Right.
that's what was happening. This 4th of July was a real turning point for
Yeah.
some. The energy was ugly, I would say. I mean, it was just this
Yeah.
awful energy. And there were things that came out that have come out in the days since and that came out in the days before. And we were sort of left to wrangle with all of this. And
Right.
then the display that was put on by the administration was so counter to what we needed to hear or would
Right.
like to have heard. And so we're being called on, I think, really to go inside like this
Hmm.
and evaluate
Right.
how we step forward. I mean, I always look at the stained glass here that is this
Hmm.
sort of hope.
Right.
It has this sort of religious faith connotation, and I feel like it's calling us, like, are you going to rise up and move toward that, or are you going to continue to be stabbed, to be sort of gutted by these swords of so many things, hate and
Right.
oppression? And this has to do with the environment too, and the lies.
Hmm.
That there's no embracing or search for the truth
Right.
within this administration. It's just, everything's opaque, and let's lie about everything, and just it's like it's
Gaslighting. Tons
yes,
of
it's second
gaslighting.
nature. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like they don't have any. I mean, they're not about the truth, they're about lies. And if we think that by doing certain things, oh, we'll make them step up to the plate, or we're
Right.
going to make them turn around, it's just stabby. There's none of that in them.
We're gonna get
It's
stabbed.
all like
Yeah.
difficult and painful and angry. There's so
Right.
much anger, like within this. I mean, that's fear too, as anger always is.
Right.
But there's so much anger and hate within this administration, and my gosh, we have to evaluate it. And then, like, this star card is
Yeah.
exactly what you were
It's
talking about
yeah.
with the balance
Yeah.
and the bringing of the spiritual, the water, into onto the earth. It's this
Yeah.
balancing, and it's also a promise
Right.
that, but I think that's what we were feeling. It's almost like there's all this stuff coming from the earth, and then what we're trying to bring from the non-physical or the spiritual world. And
Hmm.
it's like this 4th of July was a clash. It was like it was
Right.
displayed, this clash
Yeah.
it's almost like the energy was literally happening, where they're
Right.
trying this big effort to spread this sort of hate. It's not just the United States,
Right.
it's other places too, and sort of spread it into the atmosphere. And then it was being combated by this like love and sort of energy that was trying to sort of quell this. And there was
Right.
just this explosion with the people because we are dealing with all this energy. And so in a way we're literally fighting, battling it all, like it was like a war zone where we're
Right.
actually burning off this awful energy and trying to welcome in the kind of loving energy.
Well, and it's interesting too, because just the look of those cards,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like that kind of Donald Trump like oppression with the swords, and it could be filled with anything. It could be ice, it could be the police, it could be the coronavirus, it could be so many things. And then you've got that it even looks like fireworks, that explosion of just like, no, we're not doing that. We're getting out of this somehow. We're going to get out of this somehow. That's it's almost like setting up a flare, you know, in SOS, you know.
Yeah, and it's like that energy was very real, and that's literally what was happening. People were literally doing that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not symbolic, sometimes it's literal.
Yeah. And we've come full circle.
Yes. Now here we are. Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and I appreciate you coming back. We appreciate the comments. I know Kim reads all of hers on her channel. I read all of mine. We appreciate you subscribing to our channels. You know, we'll have more coming up, and hopefully more Psychic Sisters videos too. So until next time, I'll just say again, take care of yourself and take care of each other, and bye for now.